Hi, how are you today? So in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at two different features on the Alesis SR16. Now, as you all know, I've made videos in the past about this great drum machine. I've owned this drum machine for many years. I've got a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm still not an expert on this thing, although I have been using it long enough to know about many of its features. And I do encourage you to go back and look at some of the previous videos that I made. I also have an SR16 playlist, so please check that out. I'd really appreciate it if you watched the past videos that I've made on this drum machine. So in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about two specific features that you can use when you're recording patterns on the Alesis SR16. And those two specific things I'm going to be talking about are quantize and swing. And both of these things can really add a lot of punch to your programmed beats. Now, I've had a number of people ask me, what exactly is quantize? Well, if you're new to music making, if you're new to musical gear, you've probably heard this term, and maybe you don't fully understand what it means. Basically, quantize is a feature that corrects your playing. So for example, if you're programming a drum machine and you're not a professional musician, you're not a professional drummer, your playing, there's a very good chance that your playing might not be exactly in time. Quantization basically takes your playing and corrects it, or puts it to a specific time signature. For example, if you play a specific pattern, and maybe, again, it doesn't quite sound tight enough, maybe the snare drum is a little bit off, or the bass drum is a little bit off, you can use quantization to correct it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you see here I'm ready to record. My screen is saying compose. I have an empty pattern, and over here, you may not be able to see it, but it basically says that the quantize feature is off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to perform a pattern with the quantize off. So what that means is it's going to be programmed exactly as I perform. Meaning if my playing isn't exactly in time, that's exactly how it's going to record it. So here we go. Let's have a listen. There we have the click track. So I'll deliberately program a beat that's a little bit off. So you can hear, again, the playing is a little bit sloppy. It's not tight. It's a little bit off. And you can especially hear that very first bass drum it's just off. And you don't have to be a professional musician to tell that. Let's listen again. So yeah, that first bass drum it's a little bit late. Okay, well, what we're going to do, I'm going to take that pattern and I'm going to add some quantize. So basically, what you can do, over here, you have your record setup button. So I'm going to press record setup, and right away, I'm in quantize mode. Now, when you go into record setup, quantize isn't the only mode. And if I use the arrow up, arrow down keys, I can scroll through all the things that can be adjusted. Okay, like step mode, beat start, beat length, velocity, click, all of those things. Swing, which I'll talk about in a moment. But basically right now we're looking at quantize. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use these arrow keys, and again, these up and down keys are different from those ones over there. So right now I'm going to use these ones, and I'm going to select my quantize. And in the manual, it explains what each setting is. So you have a setting for quarter notes, quarter note triplet, eighth notes, 8th note triplet, 14th note, 16th notes, 16th note triplets, 32nd note triplet, and off. So what we're going to do, I'm going to select 3 for 8th notes. So basically I go through here and basically so what I want is this. And I'm not a musician, I don't know the correct terminology, but basically it's the musical note with one little line coming off the side. Look carefully over here. As I scroll, you'll see that this changes. Okay, so now you see a little number 2. Now you don't see anything. I go back up and you see it says 1. Now we have 3 little lines, all these different settings as I scroll up and down. And right now we're back to off. But again, I want to program 8th notes. So again, 8th notes, we want to see one little line next to that musical note and no number down there. So that's the setting we want. I've put the quantize on 8th note. Okay, so now instead of recording with the quantize off, I'm going to record with the quantize set to 8th notes. So I've done that. Now I go back, I'm going to go into compose mode because I want to record. We see the quantize is set to 8th notes. And I'll try this again with quantize on. So as you could see that time, playing with the quantize on, with the quantize set to 8th notes, the timing was right on. It was all in timing. So in a nutshell, quantize basically corrects your playing. So if you're not a professional musician, I'm certainly not a professional musician, and if your playing isn't exactly in time, quantize will fix the timing. Now, the next thing I was going to show you is swing. So again, we're going to go here to record setup, and I'm going to scroll through the different things that we can adjust. And here we have swing select. And as you can see right here, it's saying swing off. Well, let's see if we can adjust that. So I've set swing to 54%. Okay, so let's see how this affects my programming, my beats. Okay, so let's go back into record setup. And again, I want to go to swing. Now I'm going to change it to 58%. And you can see it gave the beat a bit of a swing. Bum, ba, da, ba, bum. And as I increase, as I go up to the even further setting of 62%, we're probably going to hear even more of a swing. So let's try that. Let's try 62%. Okay. Yeah. So you can see you can see it really gave that pattern a real swing. And if you're the type of person who does jazz music, that feature can be very, very useful. I'm just going to read to you what it says in the SR16 Owner's Manual about swing. Basically it says, swing affects the timing of pairs of equal value notes. Each note normally defaults to taking up 50% of the total duration of both notes. Adding swing lengthens the first note of the pair, and to keep the total duration of both notes the same, shortens the second note of the pair. This imparts the kind of feel found in shuffles and some jazz tunes. For example, with swing set to 62%, the first note of the pair takes up 62% of the total duration of the pair of notes, while the second note takes up 38% of the total duration. Now that might sound kind of confusing, but really it kind of makes sense. So it's basically taking the first note and lengthening it, and at the same time shortening the second note. So that's basically swing. So I hope you found this video useful. Again, quantize and swing can really help your beats sound amazing. And I will also mention about quantize, just getting back to quantize for a moment. Be very careful about using quantize. It can be overused. One great thing about quantize is, and you can do this with the SR16, you can add quantize to certain pieces of your beat, but not others. So for example, maybe you want your bass and your snare to sound exactly in time and exactly perfect. You can use quantize to make sure that they are in perfect time. But then if you want to add hand claps, you can make the hand claps you can program those without quantize on. And when you add that to the perfectly in time bass drum and the perfectly in time snare, if you add hand claps that are a little bit off, it's going to sound more human, because that's the way humans are. If you record a bunch of humans clapping their hands in time, not everyone is going to be exactly in time. Some people are going to be a little bit off, and that's what gives it that human feel. And you can mimic that with the SR16. Again, certain elements in perfect time, other elements no quantize, so that it's a little bit off and it will give it a bit more of a human feel. So that's my video about quantize and swing. Thank you so much for watching. Always a pleasure to make these videos. Please leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and as always, please subscribe to the channel. It won't cost you anything, there's no obligation on your behalf, but every time someone subscribes, it really helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.